I'd like to welcome everybody to the December POA Board meeting. We do have a quorum, and I would like to just let's start with the minutes, and we'll approve those and move on from there. If I can get a motion on approval of last month's meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Any changes to the minutes? Comments? No? All those in favor? 6-0. Okay. And I guess Matt has something to do.
To recognize, as I put it. Good afternoon, everyone. We are coming up on, at the conclusion of this meeting, board members Marty Inkrot and President of the Board John Orr will step away from the service, and I just wanted an opportunity to say a couple of things in their recognition. I guess the first thing probably is that a lot of people come to board meetings and observe this piece and part of it. And while this is a very important part of board service, I cannot tell you enough, especially while serving in this interim general manager role, the amount of time and effort that's involved with being a board member that a whole lot of people never see. They are attending advisory committee meetings. They're generally liaisons, members of staff. We try to dream up issues to invite them in to discuss issues. And first and foremost, I just really want to recognize their time. And as part of that, certainly their families, their spouses are dealing with less of a presence at home. And that sacrifice extends not just to their time, but to the time of others. And that's certainly to be recognized. And I do want to make one final point that I think is most important and to share with these two individuals. Both of you have made an absolute difference to me, to the executive staff, and to all of the employees. As the board deliberates and as you spend time with the board, one thing becomes abundantly obvious. One of them is public service is just an incredible, noble goal. You just realize that for board members that are not compensated in any significant way and invest that, you just have to deduce the fact they feel very strongly about Tellico Village, its potential, all that it is and all that they ever want it to be. And don't ever miss the fact that this is just about public service, and it's noble. But second of all, they make a difference in people's lives all the time. And I'm speaking personally, and I know I'm speaking for staff. They are patient, they are thoughtful. They take the time, even when they don't want to take the time, to be helpful, to offer advice, to check in, make sure you're doing okay. On behalf of myself and the senior staff and really all the staff, we sincerely appreciate your time and your effort. And above all, we wish good things for you. We'd love to see you again. Hope to catch up with you again. I think they have bigger, brighter, funner things that they're excited to do, and we are excited for them to do those things. But genuinely, I want to express thanks on behalf of the residents, on behalf of all of the staff, on behalf of the senior staff. We sincerely appreciate your time and your effort, and we'll sincerely miss you both. I have a parting gift for you, if you wouldn't mind just a couple of pictures. I'll just show these, but if we could take a couple of pictures and present those, I would appreciate it.
Well, I definitely appreciate the words and gestures. I did have a couple comments of my own and jotted down, and certainly recognition is one of them. First and foremost, I got to recognize Matt. I mean, to step up the way he did in February and take on the role of essentially three people. I mean, he's still doing Public Works Director. He took over for Chet and Mitzi's roles. Has been a trooper the entire year, positive attitude, just a get it done philosophy. And couldn't have asked for a better person, and I sincerely hope he will continue on in a much more permanent manner, officially. I think he is the best person for the role. I mean, he's got the experience and the personality. I think the staff really, respect him. So I want to thank him first and foremost for everything you've done so far. And then second, I have to, really recognize Beth this year. For those first 3-4 weeks between Chet's departure and Matt's installment, I was leaning heavily on Beth for a lot of stuff. She always took the calls, whether it was a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday morning or a Tuesday at noon. We would talk almost every single day. And even after we got things situated, I've given her a lot of projects this year, like that policy review project is a big spaghetti mess of policies that just hasn't been looked at in decades. And she's done a good job to weed through it, and every month she brings policy updates to us, some of which are just internal POA policies that don't require, any public debate on. But just today, she's got another one, and it will probably continue on for a couple more months. But this is on top of her 3 other jobs. And to her credit, she's never complained or pushed back as I've given her these special projects, because that's only one of many. So she's done a great job with the development side. We finally are realizing some of our potential of the CCI purchase. Took a long time to get going, but certainly I made it a priority this year we need to pay this loan off as the original plan stipulated. And she's been working diligently on that. So thank you, Beth, for all the assistance. I mean, and Judy and Jim, I mean, having consistent financial leadership has been huge. We went through 3 CFOs in 3 years, and you get nothing done. It literally takes a year, to understand the job and understand the village, as complex as it is. It takes a year for board members to get their arms around things, because until you've gone through the full cycle of operations and the seasonality and planning and auditing, it takes a year to really get your arms around what's really happening. So having Judy and Jim here now for as long as they have been, the financial, credibility of all of our financial work and everything is gone up dramatically. We'll just edit that out. There's no volume? Okay. So thank you, Judy and Jim. That's your expertise now has helped dramatically. We actually got a new business system installed this year that's been a number 1 priority for the CFO for 3 years straight, and nothing got done until finally we got it done this year. So that's a big, huge accomplishment. And really, I go through all the staff, but all the directors. I've really enjoyed getting to know you and your businesses. And it's been a pleasure working with you for these last 3 years. All the directors are hardworking. So I won't go on and on and on. But the one thing I was going to talk about was, like every board member that runs, there's a reason why you run, right? Everybody's got an agenda or things they want to accomplish. And, I was pretty clear when I ran, there's two things. I wanted to just start driving productivity in the POA, becoming more efficient, and I wanted to bring food service in-house. Those are the two things. And I think I got a big round of applause when I mentioned both of those in the, the candidate forum. So I think we've done a good job of bringing productivity to the forefront. We had 2 good years of continuous improvement, over 900,000 last year, over 500,000 this year. And that's just the official scoring of it. There's a lot more things that happen that don't make it on those lists. But to me, the biggest accomplishment was food service. We went from a subsidy in food service of $1.2 million a year when it was with AWE. This year, it'll be less than 400,000. And once we get Tanasi back online, the full year projection, which the first full year would be 27, is for food service to break even, excluding the community center costs that find their way onto the food service P&L. But to go from $1.2 million deficit to break even in just a couple years, I mean, that's huge for the village. So I appreciate all the hard work from Skylar and Tom that have put a lot of time into making this success. I think overall customer satisfaction is much higher now than it was prior. And then the only other comment on that would be ask for a little patience when Tanasi opens. The demand is going to be sky high to get in there, just like every new restaurant around this area that opens. So I would ask for a little patience. It's going to be new staff, a new building. There's going to be long wait lines just to get in or get reservations. So I would ask for a little patience. It'll calm down after a couple months, but I know that talking to folks, people are clamoring for that to open, and they're going to flock there right out of the gate. So with that, I will end the accomplishments and recognition. I do have one comment relative to some action, or not action, but a decision we made this morning. The Recreation Advisory Committee recommended that we increase the maximum number of Rarity Bay rec members from 50 to 75. We currently charge Rarity Bay folks a 55% premium over what Tellico Village residents pay to be rec members. So it's a huge premium, and rec only runs that at 8% subsidy. So a very tiny subsidy of 8%, but we charge 55%. So it's money-making opportunity for us. The Rec Advisory Committee does a great job of monitoring, how full, say, the wellness center is, how utilized every part of it is, and they say they have the capacity for these extra 25. And it accomplishes another goal of next year is generating what we call voluntary revenue, something other than fees and assessments for residents. So these are non-residents that we are waiting to get a membership. We have 27 people on a waiting list for rec memberships, so we're going to increase by 25 and take care of most of those folks, but it's going to reduce our subsidy even further in rec. So this was an announcement that that's going to happen. It's of the thousands of members, we're going to add another 25, so it's not significant, but just wanted to make that announcement. I think that's all the comments I had for myself personally. I guess if we've got any open forum comments that anybody wants to make, we can do that now.
Good afternoon. I'll echo thank you all for your service. I do know secondhand that you all spend a lot of time volunteering, so really thank you. And then you have to put up with people like me, so thank you again. I just wanted to mention I was at the finance meeting Friday, and I know you're going to have some approvals come through for food service, and about Tanasi. And I want to just mention, and I hope you guys are putting into consideration, one of the requests was for a whole bunch of audiovisual stuff for sound systems and extra cameras and whatnot. And I just want to remind you, we're a retirement community. I do not wear hearing aids, but I have a lot of friends who do. And one who does not come to these meetings because all the audiovisual stuff interferes with hearing aids. He can't hear, so he doesn't even come. So before we spend all this money on extra cameras and all this stuff, make sure this is the right move for the community and the residents. They'll be using the restaurants. And then the cameras, I guess there was something about 30 extra cameras. I don't know if we've thought about putting the cameras out away from the building to capture all these little nooks and crannies that Beth said they didn't see until they got onto the facility and saw the facility, in person. So I just wanted to make that mention and that comment. And again, thank you all. Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm John Villa. I wanted to ask a couple of questions, so I don't really have comments as much as questions. There's some rumors going around, and I think they're more about a misunderstanding, possibly, of what the new board members are intending. At least that's the way it seems to me. I've got people coming up and asking me, and I wanted to bring them up. Now, this is not off of next door. This is just off of people talking to me, and the two of them are, one, that there's a intent to stop all work on the main pump station and not do anything. That doesn't sound like any of the discussions I've heard. The second one is that the new board wants to stop the opening of Tanasi. So I just wanted to put those out and just see what the thoughts were from the board today. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'll take a stab at the first one. The main pump station stoppage. It's probably not a secret to some in this room that I've been very opposed to the TAP program. And I'll give a couple of top reasons why. And the TAP program includes this main pump station being reworked. The first is it increases the risk of an overflow because it will reduce the wet well size by 60% from 22,000 gallons to less than 10,000 gallons. I'll make a point about that, why that's relevant later. Second is the three assumptions that were used to develop the main pump station and the other TAP programs were wrong. The three assumptions were: one, LUB would not ever take any more of our wastewater. Two, that we would not, Tellico Village would not fix I&I. And three, that the solutions that we were going to develop had to be self-sustaining, such as a 750,000 gallon poop tank over by the Sequoia. So when talking about the first one, LUB not taking additional wastewater, we just met with them just last Thursday, and they showed us their plans for how they're going to expand the amount of wastewater they take from us. They went on to say that they said they didn't even know that we were putting in a main pump station, that we were doing this. And their question was, well, why don't you go ahead and stop? Because we're going to be taking care of it. Very profound question. So getting on to the second one about I&I, inflow and infiltration, water getting into our sewer system when it rains. We said we're not going to fix it. Well, we're about 50% through with the main village. We've already gone through Kahiti and added risers to almost a third of the homes that had your tank top below grade in your yard, meaning that water can get inside the top of your sewer opening in the back. Where we fixed it in Kahiti, and we're about halfway through in the main village and plan to be done next year. So there's another assumption that was incorrect. And of course, the self-sustained solution of us having to create a poop tank to hold it, LUB was very quick to say, why would you go with a smaller wet well than what you have today? Was that based on the fact that you were planning on having a overflow tank? They were very astute, very good comments from them. And like I say, I have many reasons for not wanting to go forward with this main pump station, but the last one, I'm just, for highlight purposes, is we didn't follow our purchasing policies. Our purchasing policies are very clear. If you want products or services that cost over $50,000, you have to get 3 bidders. We only talked to Jacobs. But it's too late, in my opinion, to stop the main pump station. We need to let it go through. Even though for the reasons and many more reasons why I don't like it, I think it's too late. We need to let it go through. That's my 2 cents.
My name is Richard Ganch. I live at 201 Salagugi Circle here in the Tokwa neighborhood. Last week I submitted a question to the POA. My question was, when are the American flags going to be posted at all the neighborhood signage areas? Got a very timely response from Beth. She said after receiving feedback over the past 6 months, the board decided to begin placing flags at the entrances 5 times a year in recognition of national holidays. I then submitted another question and said, why then are there some flags currently on display in some signage areas? Did the board seek resident input? The response I got back was, we are testing out a new holder to see how we like them on a couple of the signs. We did seek input from the volunteer gardens leaders as well as several committees. In 2026, we have a new makeup of the board, and I'm respectfully requesting that American flags be placed permanently at all the neighborhood entrances. And I'm also requesting consideration that this meeting always start with a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Thank you.
Well, Richard stole my thunder. I'm Rick Dram. First of all, I want to thank Marty and John for their great service to the community. We appreciate the time and all the effort that you've put in over the last several years, so thank you. Carla, welcome. I just want to dovetail on to what Richard said. I think it's tragic that we don't start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer. I think that honoring the Lord would be appropriate to this body. It's appropriate to other governmental bodies here in Loudoun County, and I don't see any reason why we're not doing that. And by invoking the Lord's help and his inspiration, I think it would be very beneficial to the tone, setting the proper tone of the meeting when we begin our board meetings. Might be a reminder to those in the audience, as I say, to be respectful when we invoke the Lord's name. So that's my comment. I'd like to urge, whether it be appropriate now or later with the new board, to vote that in, if possible. I'll also take a little responsibility because I said that I would donate a flag, and I never did it. So upon that vote, yes, I will volunteer to pay for a beautiful flag to be placed up here in this room so you don't have to keep moving the flag back and forth. I've had to do that, and it's not pleasant. So upon passage of this resolution, I'll be donating the flag. And thank you very much, and thanks for your time and effort. And happy Hanukkah to my Jewish friends, and Merry Christmas.
Hi, Gary Zika, Shota Hills. Joel, thanks for making those good points about the main lift station. And it's interesting that the meeting that you had with LUB and their thoughts about why we're doing a main lift station, it gets back to the point of, you got to find out what the root problem is, fix the root cause problem, and we're doing that on the I&I. And you say you think it's too late. Well, my opinion, it's not too late. We're still going to spend some money to cancel that contract, but in the end, we're going to save money at the end. And we do have a grant that's out there. Everybody keeps saying, we got $2 million we're going to give up. Well, we don't have to give it up at all. If we work with the grant administrator, have him cancel the contract for cause, meaning we are fixing our I&I, and that is a part of the grant requirements is to work on your I&I, and we are. And we could show them cause that we don't need a lift station, and we could get the cost for Jacobs engineering costs, hopefully reimbursed at least part of it. Thank you.
Hi, Bob Sawyer, Coyote Hills. After attending the November board meeting and watching the department budget review videos, a couple things stood out to me. These were things that were brought up and challenged to the budget. I would like to address where things don't seem to be applied consistently across Tellico Village. First is the credit card usage fee. Anytime I need to pay the POA, be it a boat slip, wellness center, utility bills, etc., and use a credit card, there's a 3% fee added to the price. Golf, on the other hand, doesn't charge a fee and will be throwing away approximately $120,000 in banking fees, according to the department budget review video. That's approximately $120,000 the property owners, you and I, have to pay if you golf or not. I believe that one or two things should be done to reduce these fees. One, increase the golf fees to cover the credit card fees. You could offer a cash discount. Or two, put a surcharge for the use of the credit card when paying for golf rounds, carts, purchases of equipment or accessories to cover these bank fees. That could save the village over $100,000 a year. I would like to address the cancellation fee. If someone doesn't let the POA know that they will be canceling their boat slip by December 15th of this year, which was Monday, there is a cancellation fee of 1/12 of the slip amount for the year, which could be as high as $212. And that's with a 15-day notice. There is 150 to 200 people waiting for slips, and that lease will be gobbled up in no time. Golf doesn't have a cancellation fee, and it was mentioned at the meeting that golfers probably wouldn't want to pay the fee. Fun fact, guys, boaters don't want to pay a cancellation fee either, but they do. Let's say there's a 2% cancellation rate, or about 2,400 rounds a year, and the cancellation fee is $40. That's $96,000 you could be bringing in. My time's up for this. I'll sit down. Thank you.
Well, I guess, I'm not sure where the numbers come from, but credit card fees are a big topic. They're going to be looked at very hard this coming year. So it's going to cover every credit card transaction in the village. And one thing about the comment that we would save the village money by charging the credit card fee primarily to members isn't really saving money. You're just transferring that cost to members directly as opposed to the department. And the only thing that doesn't get charged a fee in golf is if you just walk up and buy one round. Everything else you have to use cash or check without incurring the credit card fee. But I can tell you that's a hot topic from a finance perspective, trying to figure that out, because we've got multiple vendors, charge different rates for every department. It's a mess. And it's a big number, because everybody wants to use credit cards, because nobody wants to carry cash anymore. But anyways, that'll be all thoroughly investigated next year.
And John, if I could add on to that, one of the things that I would encourage all golfers to do is have a prepaid account. Because if you have a prepaid account and you load that prepaid account with cash or check, you get a 5% discount off of your golf. So that, in essence, accomplishes what you suggested in giving, that's basically your cash discount, and it's even more than what the credit card fee would be. So I would really highly encourage everyone, I mean, because it's us, right? We're the ones who are paying the credit card fees to the companies. And so by using prepaid accounts or cash or check when we pay for things, then it saves us that money. So I would encourage everyone to do that as well.
Okay, I was going to ask Matt to update us on two quick little subjects, if we could. Yep.
John, I'm sorry. I didn't know that, John asked two questions, and nobody answered the second one. I just wanted to just briefly touch on the Tanasi, the rumor about not opening. Just so you know, John, we did have a discussion about looking at a phased-in approach, because what most people might not understand is what John was saying is that we have a $400,000 subsidy this year. We're planning on restaurants having a $900,000 subsidy next year with the opening, associated with the opening of Tanasi. That's an extra $500,000 in subsidies we're planning on. So we did discuss, should we look at a phased-in approach rather than a full opening in July, and see if we maybe have like a limited kitchen and just bar food and maybe not a full-blown, full-service area, while we kind of worked out what the impact would be to the Kahiti and to Tokwa. But although that was discussed, it was a vote taken 3-2 saying, no, we want to go ahead with the full opening and the $500,000 of additional subsidies. So it was discussed, it was considered, but the majority said, let's go with the full opening and spend the extra $500,000. Thank you.
Because ultimately, though, it would be a delay in the expense, which could actually result in a higher expense if you push it out a year. But there's no way you can avoid buying silverware and plates and glasses and kitchen equipment. You're going to have to do it at some point. The longer you wait, the more revenue you give up. So it's an opportunity cost. If you give up, $1 million of revenue next year just to save the one-time expense, I'm not sure that's the best in the long run for the village. So was certainly my thinking along this line, is it's just too short-sighted of a decision to say, well, we're going to preserve next year's subsidy by pushing it out a year. I'm not sure that really accomplishes the goal of saving money.
John, can I ask for, your question, as I recall, it was, we were not opening Tanasi.
Right.
That was never discussed in any way, shape, fashion, or form to my knowledge.
Yeah, that's just the rumor that's going around.
Well, let me start some new ones.
And,
Everybody's getting a big
that's
raise
why I
and
wanted to
everything
get
else.
it out in the public, because I didn't think it was
That
either.
was never.
Otherwise, Scott wouldn't still be here doing an update
No,
today.
that was never discussed in any way, shape, fashion, or
Right.
form in any meeting that I attended.
Right.
And that's all I can speak to.
No, and that's fair, but I just wanted to get it settled. But one thing I do want to circle back to is, John, you talked about the credit card fee, if that for golf, would pass the fee to everybody if the 3% were, I'm trying to remember exactly how the phrasing went, but basically that 120,000 would go to the entire population of the village rather than just to the people who use the credit card. But that's basically what's happening with every amenity. People in the village are being charged for subsidies for amenities they don't use. So we can't use logic for one to justify not doing something when we use the same logic to justify something else. So that's something that we need to keep in mind when we think about how we're making decisions going forward. So just wanted to bring that up because it just felt like, situational decisioning there to me.
Well, no, it's just, I was saying, it's not saving, I have no idea where the $120,000 came from. If we want to ask Casey for his input, we can do that.
The video, and there's a line item in the video in one of the matrix.
Right, that was like the total credit card cost to the department, right?
Yep.
So anyways, it's, we don't charge credit card fees in food service, right? On the bill.
That's normal for a restaurant, though.
Yeah, but again,
I got an email the other day that the place where I'm keeping a trailer is going to start charging credit card
Bob,
fees.
they can't hear you online.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That's normal for a restaurant, not to charge a credit card fee.
Well,
Go to 99% of the restaurants around here and they don't charge a credit card fee.
There are a bunch around here, Rona and Von Orr does, and, you know, I've been out a lot of places in Knoxville, and they're starting to charge for the credit card fee.
Okay, they're starting to charge, but they haven't in the past.
So in addition to Carla's great idea about the prepaid golf, the other thing that you can currently do is if you were to purchase a gift card that's universally usable in the POA and pay for that with cash or a check, you could also use that anywhere in the village that is accepted and save our entire community that fee.
Right, and that's a good point, but it's not addressing the point I was trying to make. And that point is we need to make consistent decisioning. And the argument that was used was not consistent with other decisions that are made within the village. And that's the only point I wanted to make. I didn't want to get off into ways to minimize the fee. The reality is credit cards are here to stay. And subsidies are here. We're trying to reduce them. But, and there has been good work done to start on. I'm not taking that away from anybody. But the reality is the argument that was used is opposite of the argument that's used around amenities. So just wanted to put that out there.
Well, again, the comment, I'll just, again, give you my personal opinion around subsidies, and the comments that have come up many times is, well, I don't use the amenities. Why should I have to pay for the amenities in the form of subsidies? Well, my response to anybody that's ever brought that up to me is, well, you moved into a development that's based on subsidies, right? That's the whole purpose of, not subsidies, based on amenities. You moved into an amenity-based development that, quite frankly, that is the draw for 90% of the people that move here is the amenities. They like having golf here. They like having marinas, restaurants, recreation. That's why they move here. So that's why, it's called an amenity-based development, and there are subsidies, because if you said every amenity needs to be profitable, well, then it's no longer an amenity, it's a business, and we could risk our 501c4 classification if we turn everything into businesses and we're no longer a not-for-profit corporation. That would cost us many millions a year if we lost that classification. So, again, we've done our best, and we're going to continue to control and reduce subsidies, but to people that have certainly expressed to me over the years that, we should be making money in all of our amenities. Again, I just goes opposite to the founding documents of the development and the philosophy for the last 40 years of Tellico Village as being amenity-based community.
I think the other side of that, too, is we can't forget how positively it impacts our property values. So we have an amenity-based planned development where we live and enjoy, and those amenities add to our lifestyle. They give us a high-quality lifestyle. They give us high satisfaction of living. And, they keep us, honestly, they keep us healthy for longer. So, but even better, they do positively impact our property values. And there's data on that. There's statistics. We can, it's been published before. We can publish it again. But it's who we are. It's where we live, and we're thankful for it.
Really not. What I'm saying is there should be consistent decision. And the example used was not consistent with other decisioning processes.
Right.
That's my point. Y'all gone way off onto it.
Well, no, I think we continue. Well, you say that we have, but it was also brought up about the amenities, and I think that's why we felt like it was important to address that, right? And so, I think as John said, we're continuing to look at the credit card thing. All of us are in this room are probably old enough to remember when it became popular and widespread use of credit cards started, and everywhere had a cash discount, right? Even gasoline stations listed two prices. They had the credit price and they had the cash price, and you got a discount, right? And so, but then what happened is from there, people started accepting the fact that it was a convenience, it was a way of doing business, and so they built in the price of those credit card merchant fees into their pricing model of how they price things. So they kind of stopped doing that so much. They stopped giving discounts for cash and they stopped charging for credit cards. Well, now I'm sure Tellico Village clearly is not the only one who's looking at the impact of those credit card fees, because I don't know the restaurants that y'all are going to that don't charge the fee, but a lot of the places that we're going to now are like, if you're using cash, they ask you before they tell you the total. Are you using cash or are you using a card? And tell you how much it is. So it's definitely something that, is on our radar, and we'll continue to look at and figure out how to make the best decisions going forward. Thank you for your comments.
My name is Larry Rolap. You'd mentioned property values. I'd like to extend a personal thanks to Beth from myself and from my wife for something kind that she arranged for us. Thank you, Beth.
Is that it? Okay. Now, I guess I'll turn it over to Matt. Two subjects, the property disturbance we had back behind Public Works land, and the preliminary engineering review we funded through LUB. Two topics I continue to get asked about, and I think we can certainly provide some information to the community.
Certainly. So I'll start with the issue that was on the Public Works property. For those who may have not been familiar, we had some unauthorized land excavation that occurred up there. It occurred right underneath a power pedestal for a TVA power transmission line. I'm thinking it was the month of October, but they're bleeding together, to be honest with you. I think it was in October I made a funding request to fix that issue, and I don't know if it was my presentation skills or what, but it stuck with a lot of people that we got a problem here, and I'm pleased to announce it's been fixed. I reported that to the board on Friday. We did haul in some 2,000 cubic yards of dirt, had it placed with a contractor by the name of Tyler Hawk Excavation. Tyler hammered through some wet weather, even when it was probably not ideal to do earthwork. He kept at it. And that issue is resolved, it's fixed. I had a preliminary conversation with somebody at TVA to indicate we're fixed. I said we welcome a site visit if you're so inclined, and he indicated at this point some pictures will suffice and we'll make a decision. But I explained to him what was done, explained to him how we did it, and I don't perceive any additional work that needs to be done there. We're probably 98% done. We've got a little bit of drainage work to do around the site to make sure everything drains now that we're done, and we've got seed and straw to do. But that's really what we're left with. So I'm pleased to report that issue's fixed. Again, for a little bit of context, earlier this year, I think it was in the spring, we had a discussion with LUB about a partnership that was envisioned as providing a dedicated wastewater pipe that would bypass a pinch point on their system and allow us to effectively pump an infinite amount of wastewater. That's not true. It's more than probably we ever could. We entered into a memorandum of understanding and agreed to split what's called a 10% PER, preliminary engineering report. I would say as to the 10%, it kind of emerges with 10% of everything you'd need to know on the project. It tells you a lot more than you did know, but it doesn't tell you everything you would need to know to build it. It sort of explores the concepts and attempts to attach some cost estimates to the project. And so we received that report right around Thanksgiving, reviewed the report, had a meeting with LUB that was last week. And I would just summarize with a couple of things. One would be they absolutely did investigate a dedicated wastewater line. What they sort of ran into was the intended path, which would be roughly the way the crow flies, shortest point between point A and point B, probably isn't realistic. There are some significant terrain hurdles there. And furthermore, there are some very, very, very significant utility conflicts that already exist in the area. And as a result, they probably ended up, what do you say, Mike, by a factor of 9 or 10, rerouting the intended project to get to more favorable terrain and fewer utility conflicts. The amount of pipe increased exponentially. So that project came in with we call it a Class 5 cost estimate. You're sort of acknowledging, I have not done any detailed design, so it's a give or take kind of number, and it turned into a give or take kind of number of 16 to 32 million. And that is not, it's not realistic for LUB, I don't think that's realistic for us. But they did emerge with another project that in many ways is probably maybe not as good, but awfully darn good, and that is to alleviate the pinch point. And trying not to get too down into the weeds, but the pinch point essentially is a pumping station, very similar to what we have throughout the main village and one in Kahiti, where waste needs a boost. It needs pushed to another destination. And there is not just LUB customers. There are also Tellico Village that kind of lands in the same place. And what you got there is kind of a congested airport. There's some other factors associated with that, but basically that's where they run into a problem accommodating everybody's wastewater. And they are sort of identified that as the more realistic project to pursue, obviously, given if a pipeline, in fact, if that was the best place to cross, this is a much more realistic project, both in size and in scope, and in the ability to deliver it in a reasonable amount of time. It was another factor, I'm sorry, with the pipeline. You're talking about both a permit from a railroad and also, some might be able to correct me, I think it's a 404 permit from USACE. And if you've ever... And the TVA. That's USACE, yeah. If you've ever done a 404 permit with USACE, it is environmental designs, another environmental design, environmental remediation. I've been involved with projects where we went in a different direction so that we didn't have to do a USACE permit. That's how big and involved they are. And they are incredibly time-consuming. So ultimately, again, though, we did arrive at a project that probably makes quite a bit of sense. Had some discussions with LUB about what's the proportionate fair share for Tellico Village to be involved in. It was a polite, thoughtful discussion. There are more that need to be had. But for those that are interested in that project, I think that the simple takeaways are, I don't think a pipeline, at this point anyway, appears to be the preferred approach. But another one was identified, and now we're into the process of discussing what would be an appropriate participation level for Tellico Village going forward. So,
Hey, Matt, don't forget, they also looked at adding a wastewater treatment plant on that side of the lake.
yeah, so it's interesting when you sit with LUB and you talk about, for instance, our water and wastewater projects. They indicated they had just issued their last tranche of debt service, which, if I understood, totals $80 million just for their water treatment plant. And so they've got other projects. I didn't quite understand, maybe you did, Mike, but we've got a wastewater treatment plant, may need upgrades to that, may make sense to build something additional. They got a lot of projects on their table as well. So I feel good about where we're at. All is not settled, and things take time to do that, but I would consider partnering with them on the study as a worthwhile endeavor. We learned a lot, so did they, and where things go next, I think, is really going to be a matter of playing out in the months to come. Like I said, that meeting was really just last week, and it wasn't realistic to arrive at all the conclusions in just one meeting, so.
Okay, appreciate that update. Scott, tell us about Tanasi. It is moving fast. As somebody that has a ringside view of it, I can tell you they work 7 days a week, weather permitting. They're moving fast.
Thank you, John. Oops, wrong way. So just a real quick update. Basically, for those that aren't aware, the contract is a $9.9 million guaranteed maximum price. And while we have had 20 approved change orders, and I've got 4 more that I will present today, we are still well below the guaranteed maximum price. Until the 4 I present today, we were $85,000 below. It'll be 46 when I'm done. Construction's approximately 30 days behind schedule. I believe last month I said we were 60, so we have made up in the last couple of months. We've made up 30 days, and we estimate a temporary a certificate of occupancy somewhere around the end of May. We're working to try and get a temporary certificate of occupancy for the pro shop in March or April so that we can move over into the cart barn and start using, move all the carts before the peak of the golf season. Recently, what we've been doing is as we can start seeing the walls being completed at all, and I'll go through some photos after this, but to show you where we've had as many as 12 different subcontractors on site simultaneously. Concrete workers, obviously, I think a lot of people have seen the masonry and the stonework going up. We've got the siding people on site. They started this week, and they're starting at the skirt that's around the roof of the pro shop, and that basically that skirt that's up there, it's the purple boards that are up there, if you see that. That is to hide the rooftop units, the HVACs that are up there, anything that penetrates through the roof, so that we can't see those, so it makes it a little bit more pleasant to look at. And they're starting up there, and I'll explain why as we move through some of the photos. And basically now as we've got walls installed, we've got not only all of the framing done, but the drywall is essentially complete in the pro shop, including mudding and taping, with the exception of the ceiling drywalls in the soffits where we have our fire water lines. The fire water inspection has to be done, or the sprinkler system, I'm sorry, inspection has to be done when it's 100% complete in both buildings, since they are one system. And as we've had the drywall going up, it gives everybody a little bit better idea of the space and how it's being utilized. So I've been coordinating with our public works folks. They've come out. We've got photos of everything that's behind the wall, so we know where wires and plumbing and all are. Both the pro shop and the food service staff have re-looked at how do we plan on using these spaces. So we've added a few television locations. We've added Wi-Fi locations to make sure that there's good Wi-Fi service and chargers throughout. And we've also looked at the security cameras and where do we put those, again, for safety. And like on stairways, we want to make sure if somebody falls down a stair, we have some video records of that so we can protect ourselves on that. So we've been working on that pretty aggressively. Just again, some of the construction funding. As I mentioned, we've had 19 different change orders. We've approved all of those. I've been watching where those costs go, and the big ones were the ones from the State Fire Marshal and TDOT. Let's see, so I've kind of gone over most of this, but pro shop waterproofing is complete, and masonry work is well underway. For those of you, we've got most of the stone done. I do expect all of the stone work and most of the masonry work to be completed before Christmas, as it started to get a little bit warmer. And drywall installation, we're 90%, like I said, except for the soffit ceilings in the pro shop. And the contractor told me this morning that he expects to be done with all of the drywall in the restaurant, with the same caveat, not closing up the soffits by the end of this week. And then we'll start mudding and taping. Okay, oops, I'm not sure how that got in there. I think we've got the wrong, Karen, I think you've got the wrong videos up there because it doesn't have my photos. This was a different, yep. Yeah, my photos are not in here. Okay, all right, I sent two. Okay, my bad. All right, let me go back then, and basically, as Joel mentioned, we are pretty aggressive on the I&I reduction efforts, and while this shows 46% of the identified tanks are remediated, that is on the basis of 32% tanks needing it. If we go by the 24% that we're seeing in the main village, and the 32% we saw in Tanasi, we are at 59% complete, and that's 58% complete, which is right where we are with the inspections. So we have completed approximately 3,400 tank inspections throughout the village, and last week we only found 6 that needed remediation, so we are essentially caught up on those, and Marty was going to get those completed today. So we're 100% for all of our identified tanks that need remediation, we have completed. Let me go back up to the status of the water and sewer projects. Basically, on the main pump station, if anybody's driven by there, and now that there's no leaves on the trees, you can probably see what we've got down there. On the main pump station, we've started the excavation. We have finished the stormwater detention pond. They installed the piping on that for water to get the water out of that detention pond. They did that this morning, and they'll be finishing it up today. We do have the wet well are scheduled for delivery next week. We've cleared the site. We've cleared the full extent of the site. One of the things we did is we tightened up so we didn't remove as many trees. And so we'll be putting in a 5-foot tall retaining wall behind the electrical building. The ready rock for that will be delivered tomorrow and will be installed by the end of the week. We've got the electrical building. All of the submittals for the electrical buildings is complete. And we will, and that's on order and ready for fabrication. The pumps were ordered last month as approved, and all of the controls and the pumps themselves are now in fabrication. The pumps are being made in Germany. The controls are all being done in, I want to say, Wisconsin is where the control panel fabricator is. We've got all of our ductile iron pipe is on order and is scheduled for delivery in the next 2 weeks. And the valve vaults and meter vault for the main pump station will be delivered the first week of January. So we're moving pretty aggressively through there. I do want to just correct one statement that was made about the grant. The grant will be forfeited should anything happen on this. The reason for that is the grant specifically says, while it addresses the need to address RDI&I, it specifically says that grant funds cannot be used on private property. And all of our locations and all of the inputs for the I&I are at homeowners' tanks. They are on private property owned by the homeowner. So we cannot use grant funds to correct those. And then let me just go back to a couple of comments on the on Tanasi. I did have a couple of people say that, well, we were working Thanksgiving. Were people getting paid double time or anything like that? There is no overtime on for any of the contractors, no matter when they work. And part of that is because all of the contracts are.
We're not paying for their overtime. They're paying for their overtime.
Oh, yes, you're right. We are not paying for overtime, correct. And in many cases, like working on Thanksgiving, they lost time earlier in the week because there was rain. So what the contractor came to me, and the workers actually came to me and said, can we work on Thanksgiving? Because we didn't get to work on Monday. and they get paid. They don't get paid if they're not working, so that's why they wanted to do that and all. And the same thing is true if they're working Saturdays or Sundays because they lost a day during the week due to rain or cold temperatures, so they're doing that. Everything is, all of the subcontracts have fixed price contracts to the prime, so while the subcontractors may have to pay their workers overtime, we are not being charged for any of that, so thank you for that correction, Mike. Again, some of the masonry work is being done. With it being cold right now, we're watching the temperatures, we're recording those, we're recording nighttime temperatures, putting on frost blankets and all when necessary. So, sorry to skip over that. The elevated water storage tank, basically, Jacobs finished up their reports and technical memo. What they basically said on this is, we just need to have a certain volume of water above 1090 or 1100 HGL, so about a 66-foot tank or 65-foot tall tank would work if we put a ground level tank in or an elevated storage tank. That information will be reviewed with PSAC in their January meeting, and at that point we can make a better recommendation to the board as to how to move forward. The Kahidi lift station, again, they had completed the 10% preliminary engineering report. Basically, they said that the cost to renovate or go new were very similar, and basically PSAC agreed that renovation makes sense, and it's very likely that after the PSAC meeting in January that we will go ahead and make that recommendation to the board for their final decision to release an engineering firm to complete that and move forward with that engineering. And I apologize if I sent the wrong slides to Karen and we didn't get the photos. I will get those published so that they'll be online. There is a lot of work done, and you would not recognize the inside of the building between last month and this month. It's starting to look finished.
I'll come by and have a look. Hey, real quick, there's a bright stainless steel box right at the front gate of Tanasi. Is that going to stay there?
Those two boxes, there's one over on the old construction entrance and the one that's there. Those are, if you open the box, that's got the fire, that's the fire water control place, and it has to stay there. We will be landscaping to try and hide those.
We're going to camo that out somehow.
Yeah, we're going to camo those so that
and it's not going to block the view to get on 444?
No, it is back off of the right of way. It is where
that's shining like a diamond in a goat's behind.
Yeah. We will be looking at a way to do that, but unfortunately, that is where it was required from a fire safety standpoint to put that, so we can't fix it.
There's got to be a less obnoxious opportunity there.
Yes, we will do something with that. And all. My big concern right now is when we put the old Tanasi monument that's for the restaurant, put it back in place. We've got to find that place so that it doesn't block the view to get back safely onto the 444.
You mentioned they're bringing in the wet well next week. Next
Yes.
week's a short work week. When's that coming in?
It's likely to come in Tuesday or Wednesday.
Because them guys are going to be beating feet on Wednesday. That's Christmas Eve.
I understand that.
I mean, I've had those days, but
It's,
only on critical stuff.
right now, it's scheduled for shipment out of Houston on Friday, but if it doesn't get shipped on Friday, it most likely may get pushed a week, because exactly what you said, it could get up here and then we won't be able to offload it, and that will not make the trucker happy, because he can't get back for Christmas.
No, so just be careful.
We're watching.
Be careful in that space.
Absolutely, Mike. Okay. Again, apologize for the wrong slides being there. That was my fault.
Thank you for, I
Thanks.
think the work for Tanasi getting that schedule, a month, that's a lot of hard work and coordination, so thank you for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did you want me to go through the 4 change orders for Tanasi? They're not funding requests because it's not increasing the guaranteed maximum price, but it is, or do you want me to wait?
Well,
until
while
we
you're
do the
there,
thing?
why don't you just.
Okay, so basically, I've got 4 change orders. that one is initially, we didn't have televisions, or we only had one or two televisions in the entire building, and that was going to be in the bar. Based on talks with Casey, talks with Skylar, and how we want to use the facility and how we use all of our other restaurants, we've added 17 more television locations. And I needed to put power to those and blocking, so that's one of the change orders. The other three change orders are all revolving around the network cabling and internet. So what we need to do is get from, there's an IT closet in the pro shop, and there is an IT closet in the restaurant. And in order to get to all of the data drops, the new locations that we need for Toast, and to connect those back into the kitchen area, we wanted to go ahead and we added a considerable number of additional network locations for those. And then we had to put, in order to make sure that should we need to do any additions in the future, we put some extra conduits in so we could go through areas that were otherwise not accessible for getting from the IT closet to some other location within that building. So we've added those. The subtotal of, and then the last thing is, in order to get the network cabling in, we've asked the electrical contractor to pull all of the Cat 6 cables and to terminate those, test and terminate those, so that when we go to install everything, and that includes, all of the Wi-Fi systems, all of the Toast systems, you just plug into the receptacles there. And the total for that will be the total for these four is $38,000. And that, like I said, that will still leave us $46,000 below the guaranteed maximum price. These are necessary. They should have been included in the original contract. The reason they weren't is we didn't know exactly where these locations would be, and they just got overlooked, I believe, in the final designs that went out to RTC for bids. So that's why it's not in there, but it's still within the cost.
Okay.
Any questions or comments?
No, we don't.
Normally, the coordination committee approves these, but because of the timing of this, they requested that I come forward to the full board and let everybody know. All right, thank you all.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
TDEC, Matt is going to update us on
Sure.
TDEC.
So just a brief overview. A consent order means the Tennessee Department of Environmental Conservation has taken notice with our operations. They have a number of different ways to enforce things, and one of them is a consent order. So back in October, we were notified of a consent order from TDEC. And Tellico Village, just like everyone else who operates a water or wastewater utility in the state of Tennessee, and frankly every state, operates with a state operating license, and that's issued by the Tennessee Department of Environmental Conservation. I'm going to use that acronym TDEC, that's who I'm referring to. The operating license defines various do's and don'ts. You shall test your water. You shall make sure that you send off water samples to a certified lab, stuff like that. One of the particular ones is not allowing sanitary sewer overflows. So a layman's discussion of what an SSO is when wastewater finds its way out of the system. Okay, it can happen in a number of different ways, but in our particular system, since we're pressurized, it's probably going to happen at a pump station. And I guess to elaborate on that a little bit, SSOs, in my humble opinion, having worked in 3 or 4 different states with about 5 different utilities, SSOs they happen. There is not a utility that goes probably a year, some of them even a month, without an SSO. So a sanitary sewer overflow can be the result of an electrical problem, something as silly and benign as something we experienced where a squirrel wrapped itself up in the transformer and we lost power to the pump station. Nothing's moving. There's wastewater coming in and it's not going out, and the box that holds the wastewater is only so big, it's going to overflow. It happens. It could be the result of a wet weather event where we're dealing with inflow and infiltration, and we've just got more in the wet well, the box that holds the waste until the pumps pump it, just simply got more in there than we can handle. Could be a mechanical issue. You just simply might have a pump not cycle on when you need it to. So the state operating license says you shall not let these happen. But the reality of the matter is it happens. So what we've come to understand is, from talking with some colleagues, when you, as a distributing utility, which is us for wastewater, we don't treat our own wastewater. We send all of our wastewater to LUB from the main village, or Kahiti goes to TAS. But when you distribute to a utility who is under a consent order, you're going to have some heightened scrutiny, okay? And it is believed that that's generally what found us in this situation. LUB has been under a consent order for, I don't know exactly, I think something more than 5 years, less than 10. And we got some attention paid to us. So when you get a consent order, it's a draft. And it is understood that you negotiate it with TDEC. And so this negotiated consent order has two primary components. The first is the fine, and it carries with it a total civil penalty of $14,400. We were able to negotiate $1,440 of it is due within 38 days of the effective date. The effective date is defined as when both parties sign it. The remaining $12,960 is deferred upon some submittal of what we're going to talk about, a corrective action plan engineering report. You may hear us refer to that as the CAP-ER, and certain deadlines, and I think I'm going to get into that in this presentation. But not later than 90 days after the effective date, Tellico Village must submit a written corrective action plan engineering report. And that document proposes actions to identify, in our particular case, identify and reduce inflow and infiltration in the main villages, okay? This does not include Kahiti, in the main village's wastewater system, and to reduce excess flow to the treatment facilities of LUB, okay? So the corrective action plan engineering report must include a schedule with specific dates of completion. And then after you complete your specific tasks, you've got a 180-day study to assess the effectiveness of the completed corrective actions. So remember, I was talking about a portion of the define that's deferred. We have to submit our corrective action plan I think within 90 days of the effective date. If we fail to do that, a portion of that deferred fine, $4,320, becomes due and payable. Our steps for completion for remediating inflow and infiltration. If we fail to submit our quarterly report or slip on a deadline, TDEC has the ability to fine something in the neighborhood between $480 and $4,320. I suspect that's entirely at their discretion. It's not at ours. Finally, we have to submit a report 90 days after completing our remediation activities. And then there's a 180-day period at which you evaluate the success of the things that you put in the corrective action plan. Failure to submit that report is the remaining $4,320. If the foregoing requirements are timely satisfied, the deferred amount of the civil penalty is eliminated. So you're out of it with the payment of $1,220. So the intent for the TVPOA corrective action plan is continue with the inflow and infiltration investigation and remediation activities. That's what Scott was just explaining with those thermometers. we're going house to house to house to house to house, where we identify low-lying tanks that may have risers or lids that sit well below grade. Not all of them can be fixed, but where they can be fixed, we are remediating them. So importantly, and I want to make this clear, a lot of people that find themselves in a consent order, for instance, LUB, as I understand it, I have not read theirs, they are required to submit on projects. So for instance, you're updating your main pump station. Your CAP-ER would say, I will be under construction by. I will meet significant completion by this date. I will have completed the project by this date, all those kinds of things. We don't have projects in our negotiated consent order. All we are doing effectively is exactly what we would have been doing if we never had been served with a consent order, okay? Everything we've been doing since, I'm guessing, January of this year with respect to I&I investigations and fixing those that can be fixed and are likely culprits is all we're being held to. There's going to come a point at which they say, illustrate to us your success. When I was negotiating this, I said to TDEC, what do you want? Do you want a 10% reduction, 20%, 30%? Where are we at? The answer was, I want to see a reduction. I said, okay. So this approach was discussed with TDEC. No objection was raised. So I want to make clear for today, the consent order is styled for the president of the board signature. I don't have it ready to sign at this precise moment, so I didn't say John Orr. I'm saying at some point, the president of the board is going to sign it. Perhaps the most strategic feature is narrowing down the CAP-ER to inflow and infiltration in the main village, not holding ourselves to a consent order that involves all of our wastewater projects was probably the point of the most discussion. And when negotiating, I was really trying to steer us away to don't get us into writing a CAP-ER on a whole bunch of wastewater projects. Confine it to what we would have been doing anyway. So this allows our CAP-ER to be drafted with our current efforts. That's something staff will do. I do not believe I need an engineering stamp on that because these are maintenance efforts that are being performed. It's something we will draft. And so I have a recommended motion and am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the board?
So I'll make the motion, John, that we authorize the president of the board to sign this proposed TDEC consent order once Matt has it completed.
I'll second it.
I guess if there's no discussion.
A little bit. Hey, Matt, thanks for working on that, getting it down, putting another $12,000 back in our kitty. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Wasn't this something that our council looked at and said we weren't subject to?
I'm not sure I understand that question, but we have a state operating permit, and the state operating permit identifies their ability to enforce activity as well as fine for certain activities or put those under. And when the state operating permit says you cannot have sanitary sewer overflow. So I'm
Larry,
not sure what
this
the
is
misunderstanding
two
is.
different contexts. One's, you're looking at TPUC, which is the rate structure that we're working on. This is Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, which is two different operations here.
Okay, if there's nothing else, all those in favor of approving signature?
Quick question, Matt. In terms of threshold, I thought at one point TDEC said you'd had to have 3 overflow events at a station.
Yeah, that's for a moratorium. So if you have 5 SSOs at any given location, you could find yourself in a situation where you have to effectively install a moratorium. No new taps to the wastewater system. Once I got this consent order, I had to do some research to understand, well, wait a minute, we're not at 5 at any given location on a 12-month rolling calendar period. And that's when I got on their website and was like, oh, they have enforcement mechanisms beyond a moratorium, one of which is a consent order.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
All those in favor of approving the motion? 6-0. Okay. Before we jump to the financial, Beth is going to update one policy change. There you go. You guys are good with that?
Well, and this is an eye chart because it's an internal document. So what I've discussed with the board is there was a very old POA lot disposal policy that started from 2000. And it was very ancient and really hadn't been followed for a very long time. So my recommendation to the board is to remove this policy from the policies and rather have a POA lot procedure in place, which is an internal document. It's not a policy, which this is how we have been handling POA lots since I've been doing them. So we just made it more official. So my recommendation and motion to the board would be to remove the POA lot disposal policy that was initiated on June 21st of 2000. And instead have internal procedures.
Guess we need a board member to make that motion.
I will make a motion that we remove the current POA lot sales policy and replace it with a POA lot sales procedure that we've been utilizing in the past.
Yeah. All those in favor? Okay. One more down. Now we've got the finance report.
I will never learn. Clearly. Okay. We have cash in the bank at the end of November of $37.4 million, which is an increase of $6.6 million since the end of December of 2024. We are earning a weighted average rate of 3.74% on our reserve balance and 3% on much of our operating cash. We can see the split up there between the 3 different reserve accounts that we're maintaining now. Our general reserves, our water sewer reserves, and our water sewer infrastructure asset fee account, which collectively total about $35 million. I've added a new item up there because it's starting to grow pretty rapidly and represents a good, decent portion of our balance sheet. The construction in progress, that's as we're making progress building Tanasi and the big water sewer projects, and any of our capital projects that are not complete but they're growing are included in that total. So that is $9.3 million at the end of November compared to 2.1 in December. So it has increased by $7.2 million. Due primarily to the rebuilding of Tanasi and also reflecting progress made to date on the main pump station and the elevated water storage tank, to name a couple. Total assets are $81.7 million. That's up $13.2 million year to date, primarily due to the 2 items that I just mentioned, the growth in cash and the increase in our construction in process. Our total liabilities are $18.5 million, up $1 million year to date, primarily due to increases in unearned revenue over there on the bottom right-hand side of the spreadsheet, of the sheet. Our debt-to-equity ratio remains at 11% at the end of November, down from 18% in December. Looking at our accounts receivable balances on the top right-hand part of the spreadsheet up here, The health of our accounts receivable remains strong. The ratio of the allowance balance to our accounts receivable balance is 38% this month, which remains better than what it was in December, 41%. Lower is better. Information on suspended accounts, those that are more than 90 days past due. The balance due on suspended accounts, it remains lower than it was in December and also year over year. The current balance of $739,000 represents 39% of our current account receivable balance. Then let's look at the bottom at our unearned revenue. The current balance is $8.1 million, and our utility assessments for those utility tank installations that are in progress and the collected unspent water sewer infrastructure asset fee funds collectively represent 73% of that current total of $8.1 million. Let's look at our WESAF spending, and as the year goes on, this gets a little smaller as more information gets added to it. At the end of the month, for the month of November, we spent $79,000 on 3 of our projects, and that would be the elevated water tank, the main pump station, and the Kahiti wastewater storage tank or system, bringing our year-to-date project spending up to $653,000. That's the number in blue at the bottom, in the middle of the screen over there on the left. Interest earned through November was $109,000, resulting in a current account balance of $3,484,000, and that will match the number that you saw on the balance sheet. Let's look at our consolidated P&L. We finished November with a gross profit of $32,954,000. That's the number in green, which is $844,000 better than our forecast. While our water, sewer, and our utility tank installation revenue is less than what we forecasted so far for the year, lower than budgeted utility tank installation cost of sales has significantly increased or improved our gross profit results. We beat our prior year gross profit by $1,584,000, and that is primarily due to increases in revenue associated with assessments and water sewer revenue. Our expenses through November totaled $21,966,000. That includes all of our expenses, including salaries and wages, except it excludes the cost of sales. Comes in at $1,282,000 under budget, and that variance is driven by 3 main areas. Our wages and benefits through the end of November were $417,000 under budget. Our road maintenance was $215,000 under budget. The final invoice of about $74,000 on the last piece of that work was paid here this month, last week in December, but we should still see some year-end savings on that piece. And our other maintenance expenses were collectively $366,000 under budget, primarily across the public works departments, sewer line maintenance, and common property, along with some smaller underspends in golf, recreation, and food service. Our other income and expenses are contributing $3,091,000 favorably to our budget variance through November. This variance is produced by unbudgeted water sewer infrastructure asset fee spending, gains on sales of property, lots, and equipment, and also interest income in excess of our 2025 forecast. Our net income through the end of November is $12,167,000. If we add back our depreciation and that water sewer infrastructure asset fee spending, which does not contribute to our cash flow, our net surplus is $13,836,000, which is $4,565,000 better than budgeted expectations. So looking at that page, the year-to-date variance is roughly 47% from operations and 53% from those other income pieces. And much of that variance should hold in the last month of the year. Here's a quick look at our water and sewer reserve fund, our net surpluses from operations through the end of November. These results are included in those consolidated results on the previous slide that we just looked at. Focusing on the numbers with the red asterisk beside them, or looking at the number summary on the left-hand side of the slide, we started January with a balance of $6.7 million. From there, we've added net surpluses earned so far this year of $3,802,000. We subtract our water sewer capital spending for the year that's not related to those 5 big projects. That's $344,000 through November. And then we add our interest earnings on the reserve balance, $155,000, to get to $10,304,000 ending balance, which we also saw that number back on the balance sheet. And here's a summary of our board reserve spending. The reserve spending budget, including the carryovers from 2024, are $21.7 million in total. Our authorized spending for these projects year-to-date is $23.1 million, which you may notice is greater than the total budgeted amount due to the main pump station contract, which was approved, authorized, I should say, but much of that spending will carry over to 2026. Divisional spending results for 2025 totaled $11,097,000 through the end of the month. And the biggest contributor to the 2025 spending total is obviously Tanasi there on the very bottom of $6.9 million year-to-date. And we have 8 funding requests this month. We have 1 for golf, 2 for food service, 1 for Parks and Rec, and 4 for the Tanasi rebuild. And with that, I will turn it over to, does anyone have any questions before we have the directors come up and discuss their funding requests?
Real quick question. What was,
Okay.
you brought up the members' total equity early on. What was that number again?
Let me go back. Oh, who's moving the?
I'm not.
Somebody's moving the
Hands up.
slides. Okay. Let's go back to, it's like the first slide. Oh, wait. Oh.
Maybe
There
not
it is.
that far.
Total equity, $63,152,000 is our net worth right now.
At the end of 2019, just so you guys know, our net worth was a little over 19 million. So we've made some pretty good strides in putting the money in the bank and getting things done.
And assets,
And asset.
the progress that we're making. But yeah, cash in the bank is a very big piece of that.
So I just wanted to say thank you guys and to the
Yeah.
FAC to help with that happen, and to John and Marty both. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get back down here. Where are we? We're looking at these.
Yeah, so the Tanasi ones we already covered, because they're not really.
No, we haven't.
Oh, these are not the change orders?
Yeah, these are not the change orders.
Oh.
These are some of the $1.6 million outside of the
okay.
contract. And I will leave it right there if that's the order, and
All right.
looks like you're up.
All right. Well, I'm going to kick us off from here and let Kevin Alphonse sit in the hot seat first. No, I'm going there next. So what I wanted to start with is just the overall look at the total Tanasi other budget. So the estimates were from, mid to third quarter 2024, and throughout this budget process, we were told to, stick to the 1.6 million as an overall budget. So you can see some things are going to be going down and some things are going up for different reasons, which we'll try to discuss. So the updated quote column brings us in at 1.634, which is almost 35,000 over. However, some of the items that we're going to be discussing today would be part of the funding that was going to be brought by Timeless Teleco. So Timeless Teleco has guaranteed funding of $40,000 to cover those items, which we're going to be requesting funding for today, which brings us under budget of the 1.6. In the third and final column, that are things that have been funded and approved by the board to date. So you can kind of see we've funded $312,000. So with that, we're going to move into our first project. Kevin, I think you have a clicker if you want to click your own, or Karen can do it for you. Other way. There you go.
I apologize. I thought that would be bigger on the screen than it is, but yeah, we'll muster through it. So good afternoon. I'd first like to start off by congratulating our new elected board members and to thank our outgoing board members for their service and dedication to Tellico Village. It's been a pleasure to work with those members who are leaving today, and I look forward to working with the new members in the upcoming years. So I'm here today to make two funding requests for projects related to the Tanasi facility. The first request will be for a security camera surveillance system, and the second request will be for a comprehensive audio, video, sound system. Both systems will provide coverage throughout both buildings and the exterior of Tanasi. Plans have changed since the initial budget was compiled. We've taken out an interior stairwell, altered outdoor stairs, modified pro shop office space, and added a great deal of a number of televisions. These factors contributed to the increase in the pricing of the projects. In addition, we've seen inflation and tariffs play a part in the price increases. There have been scope creep and changes in the estimated square footage since the budgeted amount was first proposed in mid-2024. I also admit that there was a bit of optimistic estimating on my part that did not materialize. Both of these requests are included in long-range plan, and both requests are being requested as capital. The first request that you see before you now is for a security camera system from Knox Integrated Systems with a requested amount of $32,590 and a budgeted amount of $15,000. The proposed system consists of 34 high-definition cameras placed at strategic locations throughout the interior and exterior of the two main buildings. Also, the basement cart barn. The outdoor locations include patios, fire pit area, front drop-off area, breezeways, exterior stairwells, golf cart staging areas, and any other areas we felt might be a possibility of liability issues. It also consists of one network video recorder, cabling, switches, and installation and warranties on the hardware. There was a question from an audience member about placing cameras away from the main building, looking back at the building. We do intend to do that. We have cameras placed on several light poles in the parking lot, and then we have two cameras placed on the starter shack looking back at the facilities. So that has been taken into consideration.
Kevin, one question. How much that recorder, how much time will that record? A week, a month? Will you be able to record?
I believe he's got, is it a 60 terabyte storage? That should easily do at that facility 2 months.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I just.
34.
It's first, and once it gets to that point, it records over automatically.
34 seems like a heck of a lot of cameras.
It is.
We really need that many.
Well, we felt like, yes. I mean, if you look at our other facilities, we have anywhere from 15 to 20 cameras. This particular facility is actually 2.5 of a normal size facility because we have two buildings, two exteriors, a lot more exterior space with liability issues, and we have a downstairs cart barn with a staging area and putting green. Yeah, and a dock. And so we're trying to cover a lot more than we typically would in, say, a wellness center or a Chota Rec Center. But, that's not an unusual number. And even with this, I've told people, we're probably going to have some blind spots. You just can't cover everything. I'd say we'd cover 90% of everything with this, but it's hard. The security system funding request is for a sole source vendor. There's several reasons we went with sole sourcing on this project. In addition to providing us with security camera systems, Knox Integrated Systems also provides our burglar alarm system and our fire protection monitoring for all our facilities. The security system that Knox Integrated System provides utilizes a proprietary monitoring software that allows us to monitor, back up, and retrieve video from one source. Moving to a secondary vendor would require multiple monitoring software packages, increased licensing and maintenance cost, and reduced efficiencies. By utilizing one vendor and the proprietary software, we ensure consistency, reliability, and compatibility. We avoid system conflicts and incompatibility with our current network. We've been doing business with Knox Integrated System for over 20 years. Knox Integrated Systems currently supports all of our more than 300-plus security cameras throughout the village and provides a quarterly preventative maintenance program and inspection program. They serve as our authorized dealer, installer, and warranty provider, and we've had excellent experience with them providing timely and professional on-call services throughout the years. They have a long-standing familiarity with our locations, our cameras, and our hardware, which helps in getting quick resolution to issues when they arise. I will add, in the past, we've put projects involving Knox Integrated Systems out to bid. The Wellness Center, Chota Recreation Facility, and Tellico Beach projects all went out to bid in recent years, and Knox Integrated Systems was either the lowest or within 20% of the lowest bid. So we are requesting $32,590 for the installation of a security camera system at the new Tanasi Clubhouse, Restaurant, Cart Barn, and surrounding exterior locations. Any questions? 15,000.
Kevin, real quick, the cabling that's going in for these, this is Cat 6 cabling, is that what's carrying them?
Yes, yeah, all the cameras run off for Cat 6.
And that will last a while? We won't be
Yeah,
updating
actually,
that?
the newest Cat 6 is Cat 6A, and we've requested that that's what they put in, so, I mean, that should last.
Okay, I don't
10,
want to
15
rewire
years.
this thing in
Yeah.
10 years, 6 years.
And, yeah, it shouldn't, and all of this is going in, it should be easy to replace. If it needs to be replaced, it's either in conduit or it's
Chase.
easily chased.
Or be wireless.
Or wireless at that point, yeah.
I was going to make the motion. Yeah.
Question still. So, Kevin, what's the reason why we were over 100% off on our estimate or budget?
Well, I think I covered that. There's a variety of reasons. And I can go over those again if you'd like me to, but.
No, at high level. So, why are we so far off?
I think one reason was that we budgeted this really early without knowing a lot of the details of the plan or the scope of the project, and the scope continually changed. We could have changed this budgeted amount throughout the year, but the budget was finalized in 2024, so we had to go with what we had. And we just underestimated it at the time.
So, what are we going to do different in the future when we're estimating?
Well, I think on
For
this
budget.
particular project, the changes that were made, the scope changes, is something, we're not used to doing that on a large project like this, and it doesn't come along very often. Probably the last one we had to deal with was Wellness Center. TOC was one of those projects. I don't know how to fix that. The other projects that we've dealt with, we've not been that far off. So, looking back on history, our budgeting's been pretty close to what the actual number was. This one just seems to be an outlier.
And you feel like that the current recommended system is just adequate? You don't feel like it's overkill in any way?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, and we use stored camera footage fairly often, don't we?
Yeah, we get a lot of requests for camera footage.
And it's protected us in many cases.
It has. It has paid for itself, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody has other questions. I'll make the motion to approve $32,590 for a security system for Tanasi.
I'll second that.
I think we've asked our questions. All those in favor? 5-1.
Our second funding request is for an audio-visual sound system for the Tanasi Restaurant, Clubhouse, Flex Space, Putting Green, and exterior locations. This project did go out to bid, and we received 3 responses. The responding companies were Prince Technologies with a bid of $180,483. It's a local company with an office in Knoxville. Another bid was from M3 Technologies with a bid ending up at $86,840. Also a local and regional company with offices in Knoxville, Nashville, and Dallas. And finally, DFA put a bid in of $72,577. Also a local company with an office in Knoxville. We've selected M3 Technologies as our bidder of choice. The same reasons apply to the discrepancy seen between the original budgeted amount and the requested budgeted amount, as we saw in Knox Integrated Funding Request. The original budgeted amount for this project was $60,000. The requested amount is $86,840. The reasons we went with M3 rather than the lowest bidder are several-fold. M3 has more experience with large commercial installations. They have an on-site sound engineer and are an authorized and certified dealer of the hardware we are installing, which preserves the warranty coverage. DFA seemed to have less experience with new construction installations and on projects of the scale of Tanasi. That's not to say that DFA hasn't done projects the size and scope of Tanasi, otherwise we would not have had them or included them in our original bid package, but M3 seemed to have more experience with these size projects. Also, it's worth noting, if we go back to the DFA with the changes that have been made over the last 2 months, their pricing would be higher than the originally quoted $72,000. I'd also like to make mention here that Jeff DeGula worked hard with these vendors to get their pricing reduced and actually got M3 to reduce their price by over $15,000, which indicates to me that they've got a great interest in working with us on this project. The proposed system would cover several zoned areas within the buildings and outside the structure to ensure flexibility. We have zones within the restaurant itself, on the outdoor patio, fireplace area, pro shop, and putting green. A question arose in FAC if we made any attempts to reduce costs by eliminating any hardware. We did. For example, we removed speakers from the bathroom areas. So if you're watching a game in the bar and your team is moving the ball down the field, make that bathroom trip quick or you might miss a touchdown. We made some other reductions in other areas too. We reduced the number of speakers outdoors and along the putting greens. We eliminated outdoor paging system for the restaurants, which would be used to call waiting patrons that are outside into their tables. And we're going to use in place of that the little handheld paging buzzers. So this is a rather busy map of the interior and exterior of the facility and the many zones that will be available for us to control. Each colored area is a zone. Each building will have its own amplifiers and control pads to control their specific areas. If you look at the lower left-hand corner insert, you'll see that we've added speakers around the putting green area. This will allow golf staff to call in golfers from the green to start tournaments or to make announcements or to play music around the putting green area. Beth and I have even discussed selling audio advertising through these speakers. We're always thinking of ways outside the box to generate revenue. This slide shows some of the outdoor locations of the speakers and microphones. The top drawing is the back patio area and the speaker locations, and the lower drawing is the golf cart staging area above and below the flex space and the speaker and microphone locations. We are requesting an amount of $86,840 for the installation of a sound, audio, and visual system at Tanasi Clubhouse, restaurant, and exterior through the hiring of M3 Technologies.
Okay, so just to clarify some stuff, people see a lot of different zones here. And based with my experience working with the Kahidi Community Center and the restaurant, the reasons you have a lot of zones like here, somebody in the restaurant may not want to listen to the football game outside in a patio. You know, so you have a lot of different areas, or you might be able to have a band in one area, and they may not want to listen to another and be able to listen to music in the other, or listen to TVs. So that makes it a little more expensive, but you know, the experience for our property owners, I think this is the best scenario on how to go forward with this. And, you know, I'm kind of the AV guy over in Kahiti. I get calls and all this stuff, and get this stuff integrated is very complex, and have it used, and you get a lot of different requests from a lot of different people and want to doing things like, you know, in the private dining area, oh, I want to play my own music in there for this event, or show my own TV stuff and pictures and stuff like that. So it's key that, you know, while this costs a lot, I think the benefit for us is definitely going to go forward. You know, ability to show games and music in different areas, we should be able to get that revenue back at some point.
So I have a question. You said each color represents a different zone. So is everything that's in lavender, can you isolate any of those areas? So my example is if somebody's having a nice lunch in the dining area, they might not want to hear the golf tournament scores being announced that are being announced in the pro shop.
You can isolate that, or just have background music. I would say the dining area, probably 90% just going to have background music in it.
Okay.
You know, that's what people want, you know.
And to answer your question, those are different shades of lavender. It doesn't show up there.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah, each one of those is an individual zone. Yeah.
Great.
I'll keep it. I motion to move forward with M3 Technologies in the amount of $87,840.38 for the install of audio-visual equipment for the Tanasi Clubhouse.
Those numbers don't match. The
Okay.
number in the motion doesn't match the number on the request.
Okay. It's 86, okay.
It's a typo.
86,000.
I'll second it.
Second.
Any comments, questions?
So I guess I have a question back, and it's probably more back to Beth, because if we look at this in totality, you know, even though we're up 44,000 in these two items, we're taking it out of other areas for that 1.6, right?
Yeah,
I
we're
know we're still-
managing to the 1.6. I
know we're-
understand,
I know
yeah.
we're still above, we're at like 1.634, I believe is the number, but that's being covered by Timeless Teleco.
Correct.
So I'm still kind of looking at this as a whole bundle. Because I do think things like this are important.
Well, you can't do it after the fact, otherwise it'll cost you, what, 2 or 3 times the price?
You know, my comments are, and the reason I voted no on the last one for the security is I don't feel that we've done enough due diligence justifying why we need so many extra cameras. What did we do to try to stay within budget? I'm just not hearing enough of that. Here I saw a little bit more of that, some of the changes that were made. I'm still not convinced that we need this much this much of, audiovisual support for this because it's over budget. The world I came from, you know, you have your budget, you really have to do some spectacular things to justify why you're going over budget. That's where I'm struggling a little bit, is that, you know, Marty says in its totality as part of a larger package, there's 2 in a row that we're coming in significantly over budget. And that's a concern. And I don't think that I'm seeing enough being done to try to figure out how to stay within budget. That's where I'm struggling.
I mean, of course, yeah, how do you argue that, right? And I think a lot of it is, as Kevin said earlier, you know, budgeting this way back in the beginning before they had a good idea of what was all going to be needed, and probably being a little too optimistic. So I take that into consideration. I don't do this lightly either. But that's where I like to also then look at the total package and say, okay, if we're managing a larger subset and trying to keep that larger subset within cost, I can agree with that too.
I agree, and I agree with what was said about if we try to add this later, it's going to be more costly. And so we're building, you know, a clubhouse that's designed to be very functional. And so I don't want to see us lose that functionality, without looking at it holistically, as you suggested.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion? 5-0, 5-1, I mean.
Thank you very much.
right, moving on. I am here to request the Tanasi furniture. And one of the reasons that we are requesting this now is, as Scott suggested, we're already moved ahead or made up 30 days. And some of the lead times on some of this furniture, because we're picking out our own custom finishes and vinyls, is about a 12-week build. And the factory, if we don't need it then, is willing to hold it for us. So we want to make sure that we're not waiting on furniture when the time comes. So I'm going to show you the furniture layout and capacity. For the restaurant dining, I'm not going to read this word for word because you all can read. But total seating capacity in the dining room will be between 86 and 88. The bar area seating capacity is 30. The private dining is 24, but it does have flexibility for arranging of tables and bringing in additional chairs. The outdoor patio dining is a seating capacity of 94, and that's not tight. For all of us who remember the old Tanasi, we'll know that we squeezed every chair and table into every space we have, and this is a lot of room in between tables and the aisleways. So most definitely in the future, if we wanted to squeeze more tables and chairs in there, there's the ability to do that. And then the outdoor lounge area, which is by the fireplace, is about 28 plus, and you'll see that there's also room for growth there in the future if we wanted to. This is the layout of the building. I think a lot of people are very interested in this, so I apologize online because I know you can't see my green pointer, but this is where you enter the restaurant, and this is the waiting area and the check-in. We have private dining down, bathrooms. You can go this way into the bar, and there's bar seating as well as some additional tables and chairs, and then this is the main dining area, and then this is a covered patio, and then uncovered patio where we'll have umbrellas. On the flex space, which is over here by the fireplace, is this area which we were talking about, and then this all down here is the pro shop, so you would enter the main pro shop from down here, or the flex space area from right across from the restaurant. And this is where the golf simulators, if funding is raised, would go, and then the flex space, which could be used for a variety of things. The restaurant selections, I know a lot of people are also interested in this. This is our color board that was picked out over a year and a half ago by the Tanasi committee, which included 19 different people. And the colors are blues and natural tones to bring the outside in. So I thought everybody did a good job on that. And then the bar stools and chairs, we're still finalizing the vinyls. For these, we actually have a meeting on Friday to finalize it. These are some of our top contenders. And then I just wanted to show some of the furniture samples. So we have bars and then benches in the waiting area. We have creative hardtop wood tables, which are very nice and have a great warranty. Outside, we have these teak-looking tables and chairs, and this vendor was really gracious to give us fantastic pricing, way below a lot of competition, and still custom make the sizes that we need, which was really nice. And then the patio lounge area, it's more comfortable, but you could have beverages or appetizers out there. And then for the golf world, not sure what happened here. This is not that tile. I promise you, we don't have green and blue weird tiles. That's actually a green tile, and the colors in golf are once again bringing the outside in, and then obviously playing on golf, which is green tones. And then this is like the flex space style of furniture, so more of a lounge, comfortable atmosphere, and then some bars and bar stools for people who would be utilizing the golf simulators. And some of their finals. So the cost breakdown, I was asked to provide this. For the restaurant furniture is a little over $187,000. For the patio comes in just over $26,000. Golf flex space is $29,000, and then you got delivery, installation, and tax, which bring the total requested to $267,435.07, and that's our funding request today. And we would like to move forward with a contract to source one furniture in that amount. We did get 3 quotes for this, and Source One was the lowest bidder, and we worked with them to value engineer because the budget for this, if you'll remember, was $350,000. That was our original quote. And the committee, we have a subcommittee for the furniture, which includes Food Service Advisory Committee and a few others, and we worked really hard to get this down to come in under budget. We're really proud to say that we did that. So that would be my request.
So I'll make the motion and get it on the floor of approving this breakdown of costs for furniture in the different areas within Tanasi for a total of $267,435.07.
I'll second it.
Great job. Not only on coming in under budget, but your keen awareness of what the budget was and your goal to try to meet or stay below it. So thank you. Great
Thank
job.
you.
I fully support this.
Thanks.
Beth, thank you for going out and taking care of that for us. It's always nice to put money back in that pot.
It is.
If there's nothing else, all those in favor? 6-0.
So while we're on the topic of Tanasi, and I don't know if Scott's still here, but what is the status of the fireplace? Because, a lot of people ask questions, are we going to do it, are we not? How's it going to be paid for? Because for everybody to recall that it is not, the fireplace is not part of the budget of Tanasi. So
Well,
that's
the base was, but not the fireplace itself.
correct.
Yes.
Yeah, the base was part of it. We are moving forward with the fireplace. Basically, the fireplace itself, the entire frame is there. The concrete contractor was there today putting in the floor of the fireplace so that it's ready to go. The plumber was plumbing up the propane so that the contractor can put the propane into, or could put the fireplace in. We've got the inserts already ordered, and the flue is going in next week by the mechanical contractor. He'll have 3 flues in because there's 3 separate burners. We've got basically, it's a 14-foot long fireplace, so it's 300,000 BTUs an hour. And so we have 3 separate flues, and then once we get the flues in, the drywall contractor will go out and put the sheathing around, and then the mason will go ahead and put the stonework around that.
I believe the question was more around sponsorship. We talked early on about trying to get like Suburban Propane to sponsor the fireplace.
The contractor originally had $54,000 allocated to the fireplace, initially in his budget. The total bid for that fireplace came in at $32,000.
I was going to say, we value engineered it to get it done.
Yeah, we put $20,000 back into the
So to get
into
the
contract.
fireplace completed came in less than what was estimated for the base only.
Correct.
Well, I think the question still stands. Are we able to get any kind of sponsorship?
We're still working on that. I will say that we did contact Suburban, as you mentioned, because they are our supplier, and we wanted to kind of give them first right of refusal to have naming rights on the fireplace. And we initially got great interest, and we had a representative from Suburban come out and to the site during construction and look at it. And then when we got the reply back from them, it was that they didn't think they could do the entire thing. And so we've been working with them and having a little bit of a hard time connecting, but hopefully we'll still make that connection. And I think it would be a win-win for both of us. I think it'd be really nice for Suburban to be a part of that. And so we're still working on that.
Well, I'm not sure it has to be a permanent sponsorship. It could be an annual or a 5-year sponsorship.
Correct. Those are some of the things that we're negotiating, the term of the sponsorship and exclusivity, those kinds of things.
Carla, do we know what we're paying for propane?
Still working on it. I do. I mean, I have that. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but I can look it up.
Because that thing's going to burn about 3.5 gallons an hour.
No, it will. It will.
Oh,
It's
I just did the
surprising.
math.
It's surprising how much propane they burn. So, but I actually have the numbers from what we already use, just because, restaurants use a lot of propane, right? So the numbers are significant. So we're still hopeful that we're going to be able to work something out.
So, and I also bring that up from a perspective of, I've talked to several residents that have said, hey, if we need money for the fireplace, there's a contingent of people that aren't golfers and wouldn't necessarily contribute to the simulators, but they would certainly contribute to the fireplace. So I throw that out there as an opportunity that we could be working towards.
And the foundation has been in touch with some of those people, and we're definitely open to that. We kind of wanted to wait and see what was going to happen with Suburban, but considering the fact that may or may not happen, it's definitely on our radar to reach out to them and see what we can do to work with the residents as well.
Good. And Scott, just to be sure I interpreted what you said correctly, we are building the fireplace.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And to go back to what Mike mentioned about the consumption, it was originally, the original design was 800,000 BTU an hour because it was the cannonball design, and in order to get the flames up through the cannonballs, it needed that much capacity. So we've changed the design of that, as Beth said. We've tried to value engineering wherever we could on that.
That's over 8 gallons an hour.
Yes, and we only have a 500-gallon tank over there, and that includes the heating units over there, which are propane
Daily
as
delivery,
well.
Is that what we're working on, or what?
Yeah, we were going to heat the lake basically with that fireplace, and also, but yes.
Okay. All those in favor of a furniture motion that's on the table? I think you made it and Ed seconded, didn't you? Yeah, everybody voted because we voted. Oh, then why are we talking about it?
Moving on to the rest of the kitchen equipment. So on the original schedule, this was estimated to be needed in February, March timeframe, and it's now like, hey, is this coming? They need it pretty quickly. So just to go through, this is a kitchen layout, and then this bottom, and I know this isn't our chart, but this is all the equipment that will be purchased in this request that goes in all these little areas, and this has been approved by the Food Service Advisory Committee and Skylar, and been what we've been working on all year. And then this is a layout of the bar area and all the equipment listed there that will be needed for the bar. And then just as a reminder here, we had 3 quotes come in, and honestly, for all the different kitchen equipment, they are very, very, very close when you total everything together, within a couple $1,000s of each other. But we felt that it was wise to go with Windrock, who won the bids for the hood and the walk-ins. That's why those are in green, and those have already been funded, because some of the installation of refrigeration was in the walk-in quote, and it just made sense to have only one vendor if you're reaching out for warranty issues versus trying to remember who this was or who that was. So the request is to move forward with Windrock for that reason, but everyone else came in very, very close. So the funding request for this would be to purchase the remaining kitchen equipment from Windrock in the amount of $324,512.79. And this will finalize all kitchen purchases for equipment.
I'll make the motion that we approve the kitchen equipment for Tanasi from Windrock for $324,512.79.
I'll second.
And where are we at in the overall budget for this portion? Is this the?
So the original budget was $475,000, and we're coming in at $471,275.51.
Well, not bad with all the inflation that we've seen in the last year and a half.
Well, and that's one of the reasons too. I mean, they need it. RTC is, when is it coming? When's it coming? When's it coming? But also the first of the year, depending on the piece of equipment, but anywhere from a 5 to 10% inflation increase is what they're expecting in January 1 of 26. So that can add a lot of money to a $325,000 purchase.
Yeah.
Just a couple of quick comments. Can you go back to the
Oh,
quote
yeah,
sheet?
sorry.
Really nice. I like the fact you have 3 bidders as per our requirements, but I like the consistency of the bids. It looks like you did a good job with who you're bidding it to. When I look at the consistency of that, it looks very, very good. So great job on bidder selection and great job on getting it done under budget. Thank you.
If there's nothing else, all those in favor of the motion? 6-0.
Thank you.
Now Casey, up to bat.
Good afternoon. I'm coming to you on behalf of the Golf Advisory Committee. In late 2024, there was a private funding expedition that started to try to fund for the Kahidi Starter Shack. This is a joint effort with the Sequoia High School trade program. The kids at the school over the last year have constructed about 85% of the building that you're looking at. This architectural drawing was free, courtesy of one of our residents, and it's really important to me, not only safety-wise but operationally, that we had this starter shack. And as the funding began, 85% of it has been paid for by property owners, but as we near the end, we realized that electricity and the concrete were far exceeding the initial funding requirements. So we're coming to the POA to ask for the amount of $24,055 for the Kahidi Starter Shack. Wrong direction there. There's some breakdown. It'll have a HVAC unit in there. This will overlook the first tee, the 10th tee, and it will not block the Mountain View patio view from if you're sitting at the outside of the restaurant or in the restaurant. What I like about this as well as an operational side is currently if you're a starter at Kahidi, you are just sitting in a golf cart looking at an iPad. The iPad's being charged by the golf car. It kind of clutters up our roundabout there. This starter shack really matches up with operationally what we do at Tanasi and Tokwa, which is facilitate starting players through the starter shack. And this was kind of a game of hot potato, and I caught the hot potato. So I come to you asking for that amount and open to any questions.
Okay, I guess I'll make another motion. I'll make a motion to approve the $24,055 for the Kahidi Starter Shack.
I'll second that.
I guess my comment is that I was kind of shocked when I first got here, and there was no starter shack at Kahidi. I applaud the efforts to try to self-fund it, like the patio of Kahidi and so forth. That was very successful, but there's probably a limit to how much can be self-funded. So I certainly, from a safety and aesthetic value, would support this.
Casey, real quick, you're looking at a mini split system. Is that a ground-based unit?
Jeff.
What's the mini split system, Jeff? Is it a ground-based unit? It's not just some wall mount, is it?
It's a wall mount. Yeah, well, it's got two components.
Got a ground base?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And that'll sit right on the slab.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we weren't putting something that's not ACC approved on.
As I told Mike Friday, if it's a high draw or a low fade question, I got you. But if it's electrical, I move on to those that know.
Also in that space, has the ACC approved this?
It has been ACC approved, yes, sir.
Okay.
And it will match the Kahidi Clubhouse, the painting.
One of the things that we talked about in the FAC meeting when this was presented, this was originally supposed to be independently funded. And should we have had this in there to take care of in the POA? Probably. But right, wrong, or indifferent, it was something that was started with, we would require zero POA funding. Unfortunately, somewhere along the way, we said, wow, we need help. The concern is, let's make sure that we don't do this again. If we're going to start something and we're going to have it independently funded, let's make sure that we can do that, because nobody would stand up here and say, we don't need this. I for one, fully support this. However, we hate to be put in a position where it's not budgeted, somebody starts it, and now we're left in a position where it's like, who's going to be the bad guy? Well, nobody wants to be the bad guy. We just need to make sure that we look very closely at this to make sure this does not happen again. So any of these independent funding ideas need to be fully funded, or we have to agree up front that there's a POA, cost to be associated with for our residents.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, all those in favor? 6-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Casey.
Good afternoon. I'm here for the purchase request for recumbent elliptical for $16,100. I've got Trey here to present today. part of a learning and growth process, which is also part of our balanced scorecard. I like to do that. I also had him with the FAC. I'm here also for any questions that he may not be able to answer.
Just a quick walk through the process here. For those that are not familiar with a recumbent elliptical, it's somewhat of a rehabilitation piece of equipment for those that have lost mobility or recovering mobility. It's not exactly a standard piece of workout equipment as you might become accustomed to seeing a treadmill, dumbbells, things like that in almost any fitness facility that you enter. So this is a little bit different than those we're familiar with our strength project earlier this year, where we were able to take our Recreation Advisory Committee out and let them put their hands on a bunch of different equipment. In this case, there's not really a good centralized place to see these. They were sent the information and links to do all their own research and the few pieces that were within reach of putting hands on. And so their conclusion was to go with the recumbent ellipticals that are most like what we currently have in the facility. The manufacturer that had provided the original pieces has been purchased out, and the manufacturer that purchased them is the provider that we are recommending to go with now. It's going to provide the least learning curve, which we really appreciate, the lack of confusion for our members. A couple of things that you would see in the funding request price differences, whether we would go with a standard warranty or an extended warranty, whether we would go with a 10-inch screen or a 16-inch screen. Our advisory committee had recommended the extended warranty and going with the larger screen for our sight-impaired members, of which we have a few of. If there are further questions on this, I'm happy to answer that. Another driving factor in this request, these pieces ran off warranty a little over 2 years ago. Since then, we've spent $3,133.75 in their repairs, and those repairs just become more costly. What originally might be replacing a small button has become replacing an entire working arm on the side of the elliptical. So those are just some contributing factors to think about in this project. Happy to answer any questions that may come along with that.
How much usage do these have, and what are the, how do you gauge the original ones, how much usage they have on them?
So, two questions there.
Yeah.
How much usage they have, I would say in terms of our cardio equipment, this is, if not the number one piece of equipment used, maybe number two, but I would argue that they are the most used relative to how many we have. So there are 4 total in the facility compared to 10 treadmills, and they are in frequent use. Much to the dismay of some of our members, there are requests to add more to our fleet. We would just like to keep the fleet that we have in good working condition. As far as what do we look at when it comes to the usage over time, you can check the mileage on these things, somewhat akin to a treadmill, and you've got certain thresholds where once you eclipse 5,000 miles, 10,000 miles, those sort of things, is what you're looking at, how much wear is on the rotary pieces themselves, the cyclical. You'll see the arm sort of attaches to the foot. They work hand in hand. And so you're looking at how much usage is on those. Not just that, but the wear and tear, just looking at them when buttons start to constantly need replacement in order to work, function, those sort of things.
And how long have we had the 2 that we're replacing?
Ballpark 6 to 8 years. I'm not sure that there has been a clear answer to that, just that the warranty came off them as of May 2023 roughly, which, assuming that there was a 5-year warranty and we're 2 years since, would put us in that 6 to 8 range.
What's the difference between the standard and the extended warranty period?
So standard warranty is 3-year parts, 2 years labor. Extended warranty, is 5 years parts and labor.
So this is to replace 2 of the 4?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
And what's the status of the other 2?
So the other 2 have by coincidence been replaced along the way, whether it was when we did a bulk purchase of cardio equipment, it was offered to go ahead and give us another piece as part of that bulk purchase, almost an add-on. And so as they were already beginning to show their wear and tear, we went ahead and replaced. Wish in some part that we had not done that so that all were on the same timeline, but we knew this was going to be something we had to do eventually, so they were replaced along the way. These are the two remaining of the original four. Sir?
So Trey, I think I was able to sit in with you and Simon, talk about this at the FAC meeting. So I understand the extended warranty, you can bring it to 5 years, and I think I even heard, Simon, I think I heard you mention, we'd like to think that we could try to replace these things every 5 years, correct?
Yes, I'm a big fan of a 5-year warranty. Once they start going down, you got a lot of money paying on them.
Sure. So I guess the logical thing, and I apologize if I missed it or it was presented sometime else and I didn't see it, but why aren't we leasing? What's the benefit of purchasing versus leasing and paying for this extended warranty when in reality, if we lease it, wouldn't all that be covered, and what's the cost difference?
So, we can certainly look at that again when we do our next purchase. The last time we did it was the interest rates, and we ended up not being cost-effective to go that route. But you're right, after 5 years, you don't really get much out of them. And if we can make them go to 6 to 8 years, we're doing better off. But absolutely, we can look at lease. Some places do lease them. Then you have a fixed cost that you're paying every month.
May I add? Yeah. So about 3 different things that I would point to on that. One, you think of, I'll liken it to what we do at the Wellness Center. So you have the option to do a 12-month paid-in-full membership versus a 12-month monthly auto draft. In terms, if you looked at the end of life there, at the end of 12 months, you're going to end up paying more if you do the credit card every single month versus the paid-in-full. In the same way you purchase it with the warranty, you're going to end up saving money versus the lease payments time over time. Speaking to similar facilities in the Knoxville area, they have mentioned a lot of issues with being nickeled and dimed when they do go the leasing route, because the manufacturer then has the chance to go in and say, well, you didn't follow XYZ guidelines to the T, therefore you have incurred these extra costs. And so you take on that risk if you go the leasing route. Also, there is a little bit less customization that you can do with that, because now you're basically tied to that manufacturer that you've leased from for whatever the period of the contract is. Whereas you might find out, oh, this is defective, I want to go another route. This particular manufacturer has a much better thing going right now, those sort of things.
Certainly some maybe difficult from a tangible standpoint to understand everything that you just said, but it's good. But I'd still like to see the cost analysis between lease versus buy.
We'll certainly do that for our next year's budget, as we put in for a capital request, and show you all that.
Yeah, because things like, maintenance cost, downtime, whatever might be taken into consideration, because the one that we're replacing is how old?
Somewhere in the 6 to 8 years ballpark.
Yeah, so these are things that, we want to understand is that, okay, what happens if we go 6 years, 7 years and absorb some of the additional maintenance cost or downtime associated with it. So it really comes down to, let's see some numbers to justify why this is the way we want to go. Because I hear you, Simon, if I'm going to do 5 years and I want to replace them every 5 years and I'm going to pay for an extended warranty, what is the difference between just that and just leasing it for 5 years?
And the last time we did that, we found it wasn't cost effective, and we'll absolutely do it again and present it to you.
And that'd be great. We'd just like to see the numbers so we can make a good, educated decision in that space.
What, is there any residual value in the old ones?
Other than getting them carted off.
Okay. How about,
Fireside sale.
go back to the dollar amount so we can get somebody to make a motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion for a request of $16,101.67 for new ellipticals at the Wellness Center.
Second?
So we made all our comments. All those in favor? 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is that it? Oh, okay.
Hello, how we doing? First of all, Marty, John, thank you for your service. Appreciate it. Really do. So I have two requests. I have an unbudgeted meat slicer, Hobart meat slicer, heavy-duty meat slicer I'd like to get approved. It's $10,000 to replace the meat slicer that broke here at the yacht club. So come forward for that, for a meat slicer.
Is this an urgent request, since the other one's broken?
It is, yes, because it just so happened the Kahiti slicer broke this month as well. So I got a temporary one down there, and I'm gonna transfer that to Kahiti and then get the heavy-duty one here for the yacht club.
Who's the brute using these slicers?
Is this new since Friday? Because last Friday, I thought we already purchased a temporary meat slicer for the yacht club.
Yes, the temporary one is down there right now.
Kahiti.
Right.
So that's going to Kahiti, and then I'm asking.
But the Kahiti breaking was new since Friday?
No, that happened a few weeks ago.
Okay, wasn't aware of that when we talked about it Friday.
Yeah, we talked about it. I brought that up on Friday.
I missed it. Thank you.
So.
What's the lifeline of these two? I mean, how long did
The Hobart one, it'll last. The last Hobart one we had here, it was over a decade old.
Okay, and the less expensive models?
The light to medium duty ones last 3 to 5 years.
What is the labor savings with the automatic slicer?
It'll save approximately five grand a year from having an employee stand there and slice the meats, the cheeses, the vegetables. I wouldn't say it's going to save labor. It'll let me maximize my efficiencies, put that employee somewhere else doing another task versus stand there and slicing meats and cheeses and vegetables.
So it sounds like you get an ROI of about 2 years on it?
Correct. Yep. And it'll allow me to, it's 30% cheaper to slice a block of cheese versus buying it pre-sliced.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Meats too.
yeah. Yep.
What's the price on that?
It's 10,000.
Even?
No, it's 10,000.
Well, you're gonna get shortchanged. If you don't tell us what it is, you're gonna get shortchanged.
10,700. Yep.
10,736.
I'll make the motion to approve the meat slicer for the yacht club for $10,736.
All right?
This is where I miss Mike.
I'll second.
There.
Holy cow, man. Ed,
I second.
Anything else to comment? No? All those in favor? Keep slicing meat.
All right, and then the second one is the small wares quote, the budgeted small wares quote for Tanasi. Libby, the Libby brand products, which are silverware, or glassware, the plates, they have a buy one, get one promo through the end of this month through K-Tom. So if we purchase the small wares before the end of this month, we're getting an additional $17,000 worth of product from Libby.
so just to be accurate, we already have $17,000 in the budget
Correct.
for next year?
We have $100,000 budgeted for the small wares for next year.
Okay. And how many place settings is this, or?
It'll be enough for 900 settings. So it'll be enough plates and glasswares to last about 6 to 8 months of covering breakage.
Huh? We break 150 plates a month?
Well, you need enough. You got 300 max seats right now.
We have 234 seats, so
234 seats.
the initial order in that 99,000, we built it out to about 600 settings. So,
And this is going to give us 900 settings?
yeah.
So I'll do it. I'll make the motion to spend $99,759 for small wares for Tanasi. It is budgeted for the 2026 budget. Thank you.
And you've got to, I'm sure you're going to end up taking delivery long before you open the restaurant, so you got to store that somewhere?
Yes, I've talked to Scott. We have storage, we have enough space in the cart barn and here in the attic behind us, and those are all under lock and key.
So I'm not going to see any of this on eBay in 3 months, right?
No. So,
So what you did, just so I understand, is your target was still 100,000, you just got more for your money.
correct, yes. If we take advantage of the sale.
So, the original number was 600,
Right.
place thereabouts, and
Yep.
the minimum order quantity to get the buy one, get one, I think you told me Friday, we're way past that threshold,
Correct.
right? Even if we reduce the order number, so even with the buy one, get one, you could get 600,
Correct.
we'd still be over that threshold to get buy one,
Right.
get one.
Yep.
So this is where maybe I differ with a few, because, to me, most successful organizations are lean. Fat organizations are not in style.
Right.
So organizations typically break down the types of waste into 7 areas, and one of those 7 areas is inventory. So we're going to purchase additional inventory to run fat, to have to tie up, to take this stuff and go store it somewhere. Maybe even create, and please don't take offense to this, but maybe even create a culture where it's okay if we break some stuff because we've got extra. That's not a lean organization. To me, that's not a well-run organization. So I am adamantly opposed to purchasing more than we originally wanted simply because there's a buy one, get one. I think we should take advantage of the reduced cost by buying what we need and taking the $17,000 discount. That's where I'm coming from. Okay?
Understood.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and that's why I wanted to bring it to everyone's
Well,
attention.
what's
Would
the
it
number
be a
then?
$17,000 discount, or would it be 8.5?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking Libby,
So it'd be an $8,500.
yeah, Libby, the Libby products are about 35,000 from, in that 99 is Libby products.
So it's an $8,500 reduction if we purchase what we need plus the buy
Right.
one, get one.
Yep.
Buy one, get one. So they're saying that's how much they discounted it. So the buy one, get one, if I bought 600 without the discount, it would have been 35,000?
Correct.
So if I buy it 35,000, then shouldn't I get double the number? Shouldn't it-
I think that works out to be buy one, get one 50% off.
Right, yeah.
because
Oh,
rather
okay,
than-
I'm sorry, I
It's
took
not
it quite literally, my apologies. But my opinion's still the same. We should
Understood, yeah.
If we were going to go, so right now the number's at 99.7, 99.8.
That number won't change. It'll be 99,000. We're just getting an additional 526 cases of Libby.
No, I'm saying,
Oh.
if you back that down to what you really need, what does that 99,000 become?
Yeah.
Wasn't your total before you did it this way like 87,000, or 89,000, I mean?
Yeah,
It was only like 8,000 less.
yeah,
So you're getting double for $8,000.
yeah.
You're getting 50% more
Yeah.
for $8,000. So the whole, the 99, the number that we're talking about for the plates and whatever is a subset of the 99.
Correct.
It's not the complete 99.
Right.
So we're
Right.
talking about 35 plus 8, right?
Right.
Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah.
So 43,000 of the 99 is for the dishes.
No,
No, he's just saying that the 35 gets him 3 plates instead of 2. For every 2 he buys, he gets a third one free. So he's going to have all of that 50% is extra that he's planning to store. If he only bought exactly what he was planning, that 99 would be reduced by $8,000, and he would have exactly what he had planned to purchase.
So, and if we don't buy it, you're going to come back to in 6 or 8 months saying you got to buy more? Because of breakage?
No, I'll just buy it as I need it. So, and I won't come back here asking for,
At potentially full price.
Well, yeah,
Right,
'cause
yeah. So
he
I'm
buys that stuff every month, every quarter.
Yeah, so
Right.
you're, so
as
you're
an
gonna buy
operating
it,
expense.
so you're holding it for 8 months, you're not holding it, or 8 months, you're not holding it for years.
right, correct,
Because you're gonna have to pay for it anyway next year.
right,
As it breaks.
right.
Is
So-
any of this the same as other plates and stuff in other restaurants?
Yes,
So you could not just store it until you need it for the
Right.
tenacity, you could be using it as
I-
breakage happens
I could.
elsewhere.
right.
Yeah, I think it's it's like buying stuff on sale, right? So you're just buying a little bit extra. And although I agree with a lot of your comments, Joel, because you certainly don't want to have a breaking culture, no big deal, and I don't think that would be the case. But,
No, it's definitely not.
we're just taking advantage here of expenditures that we're going to have anyway throughout the normal course of business, and those replacements will be at full price.
Correct. And the smallwares plan to go up about 3% next year, so.
Okay, well, all that said, all those in favor of $99,759 of smallwares and plates and glasses? 4, 5, 1.
Thank you.
I believe that's it, isn't it? Oh, that's right, Carla has a motion.
This is not very important. All right, so as a member of the 2025 Election Committee, along with my fellow committee members, Ed Gilliman and John Orr, it is time for us to certify the 2025 TVPOA Board election. And on behalf of the committee, I make the motion to recommend to the full board that Misters Carrie Brown, Larry Godwin, and David Tate be seated as David Taylor. Let's get the name right. Sorry about that. I wrote it down wrong, David. Carrie Brown, Larry Godwin, and David Taylor be seated as board members.
I'll second it.
I made the motion.
Okay, now I think we're done. Okay, meeting is.
So I asked the current board members and the 3 new board members to stay, so if we've got some business in an executive session, we have to open up.
I would also like to add my thanks to Marty and John for your service to our community and to this board. I appreciate you
Thank
guys
you.
so much. Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Thanks, John. Thanks, Marty.
And as a parting gift, you can take your name tag with you.
And a welcome to our 3 incoming board members. We're
Yes.
really looking forward to working with you guys, so welcome.
And due to another group coming in this room, if we can clear the room pretty quickly, we'd greatly appreciate it.